When I first sat down to think about what my topic should be for my speech, I started to panic and I broke into a sweat. And it only got worse when I came into the auditorium and saw everybody do theirs over all these exotic places that they've been to multiple times or things that they've invested a lot of time into and really love a lot. And I thought to myself, well, there's nothing that I've done like that I can tell anybody, let alone tell a whole audience about it. And so after I sat down and went into some deep thought, I was able to come up with something that I've been doing for most of my life, and I've become pretty good at it, and it's talking excessively. When I first tried to think back to where my talking became excessive and somewhat problematic, I started to draw a blank, and it was because it had been like that for most of my life. And my mother told me the story about even when I was a baby, I would stand up in my crib while my parents were sleeping, and I would yell at them and tell them to wake up because I saw the sun through the window, and I would just sit there and talk to them. And as I started to get older and develop a better vocabulary and start to put sentences together, it only went downhill from there. The memory that goes the furthest back where my talking was problematic is all the way back in kindergarten, when I would just sit there and I would talk to the people around me, and I'd cause a big distraction for them, and it just really be bad because it only distract myself. And I remember when someone would told on me because I was talking too much, or I said a potty word, and Miss G would throw me over her shoulder and carry me down to the office. And yes, I did say Miss G would throw me over her shoulder and carry me down. I was surprised at the time too. It was really bad then because it got me into lots of trouble, and it didn't help the people around me because if they weren't sitting there talking to me, they were laughing because of something that I said or something that I did to them. And it would distract them, but it was mostly a distraction to myself because while I was talking, I wasn't focusing on what I was supposed to be doing, or I would just talk so much that I'd have to be punished and put in the hallway. So I would just really miss most of what I was supposed to be learning. Nowadays, not much has changed. I'm still the very loquacious person that I was when I was a child. I still distract people, and I still distract myself. But the biggest difference now is that I find myself talking to me most of the time. And when I say talking to me, I don't mean simple talk. I mean holding an entire conversation between 2 or 3 people all in my head about something that's completely irrelevant, like what I saw on TV last night or how I think the lunch is going to taste today. And then I started to think to myself, why do I talk so much? I mean, I try not to talk that much, but I really get nowhere with it. It's still a problem. And so I looked into it and I found out that there's different types of talkers out there. And I found that I fall closely to the compulsive talker category, which is someone who feels that they like hearing themselves talk, or they feel that everyone just has to hear what they have to say because it's so important. And I've read that it's it's a sign of ADHD, which is something that I have, something that I've had my whole life. And it's usually, the speech comes from hyperactivity or impulsiveness because you just can't sit still, or it's just too dull in the room and too quiet, so you have to find something to distract yourself, which is me. I find myself pretty distracting, so I usually talk, or I talk to myself. I make myself laugh sometimes. I make other people laugh because I'm the funniest person that I know. So it's been like that for most of my life, and I can't really, even though I tried changing it, I figured that I might as well just stop and just let it be. So for the future, of course, I plan on changing because what I do is not good. And so, and now as I go into the next stage in my life, which is college, I'm pretty sure they would not appreciate it if I talk as much as I do now. And it's going to be difficult because that's the way I am. I've been like that my entire life. I can't remember when I wouldn't shut up. And so that would be one of the hardest hurdles to getting over my problem. And in the end, that's just me. I can't change who I am, but I can work on it. And it is probably a battle that I'll be dealing with my whole life and fighting against it. But thank you.